Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started and let the others jump in as they come on board here. So I'm going to call to order the March 24th, 2021 meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority. At this time, we will do a roll call. Please acknowledge your presence and your location as we go through this. Director Key.
Here in Troy, Michigan.
Thank you. Director Rosbeck.
Here in Royal Oak.
Thank you. Director London. Do you have audio?
I think we do not.
Okay. Director Riley.
Here, Royal Oak. I'll text Lori and let her know that she doesn't have audio.
Okay. And Director Yazbek.
Here, Royal Oak.
Okay. And I am present and also in Royal Oak. Okay. Got your message, Director London.
I'll just text her.
Okay. Item number 3, we've been informed that there is no public comment today. So we're going to move directly to item 4. And Tim, I know you lead us on this one.
Sure. As the cover memo said to the board, you're probably familiar with this at this point. The state statute requires the DDA to hold 2 informational meetings every calendar year. This will be the first one for 2021. Would be my intent to schedule another one in December of 2021. I know one at the beginning of the year and one at the end. There is no format under the state statute for this. On your agenda today, you have your goals and objectives for 2021. While the information meeting is not intended to be a budget meeting, you do have some of the projects that you'll be considering doing during 2021 in the budget. So that information is all provided. Given that there were no public comments, unless the boards has questions, I think we can move on to the next items.
Okay. No action required then. Okay. So we will resume the regular DDA meeting at this time and move to item number 6, the approval of the meeting minutes from February 17th and February 24th, 2021.
Move to approve.
Motion by Director Riley. Second by Director Rosbeck. Questions, additions, deletions? Okay, I will have a roll call vote. Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director Key,
Yes.
Director Yazbek.
Yes.
Okay, and I will vote yes also.
And Director London is trying to get up on her iPad now.
Okay,
She said the good news is that she has a new laptop on the way.
okay. So the approval of the minutes passes. Item number 7, expense item. These are the monthly expenses for informational purposes. If you have any questions,
I got just one.
Director Riley.
Yeah, just the last item there from is it Rowhorn Electric, 5th Street. Is that 5th Street or 4th Street power upgrades?
It's the 5th Street one that went from the new restaurant by the Vibe Credit Union over to a circuit over on Troy.
That's right.
Board saw you actually had budgeted, I believe, 70,000 based on the initial estimate. The 51,968 was the actual cost when it came in.
Okay, yeah, I totally forgot about that. Right up my window.
Okay. Any other questions regarding monthly expenses? Seeing none, I'll move on to item number 8, social district. Tim, the memo
lead
came
off.
from you.
Yeah, I can lead off with it. This item was in front of the Business Marketing Committee on March 10th. City staff had put some draft social district plan together for the committee's review. Based on the committee's input, that plan was modified and is here for the full board's consideration. There are still some moving parts in it in regards to this, and this would basically be a recommendation to the city commission in terms of the social district plan. There was some discussion about a logo, so we've had some what I'll call preliminary logos put together, trying to move this along so that it might get in place by hopefully by May, because we've got 2 commission meetings in April. We're trying to get it on or moving it forward with. The biz, we did include $200,000 in fiscal year 2021 in the, I'll label it under the Business Marketing Committee's line item in regards to potential activities and special events and maintenance activities would have to occur here. The committee did recommend that the DDA actually buy the cups that might be provided to the participating restaurants and bars and have those logos put on them. We're still getting quotes from the potential suppliers to see how much that might run. Again, depending on the logo, the DDA might pick out or recommend whether it's a single color or multicolor, changes some of those costs. So we're still got some moving parts, but wanted to get it to the board for your input consideration based on what we've got so far from the Business Marketing Committee. Sean did get a couple emails and those were passed along. I treated them as public comment because that's part of the public notice that goes out. You can either call in or you can email Sean or myself. So I would consider those part of the public comment portion of the meeting. There were no phone calls in, but I believe you got 2, one from the Restaurant Association and one from the Tap House. Both talked about potential expanding the social district, and I believe the one from the Restaurant Association had a couple other topics in it as well. But maybe I can explain a little bit about where the boundary came from. That was input from city staff, and that's what was presented to the committee. Some of the concern was extending the boundary too far and having the associated expenses with it. 6th Street was a cutoff that was looked at because it covered the majority of bars and restaurants in the downtown. There was some concern about potentially extending it past churches / school areas. On a side note a little bit, neither Bigelow or the Tap House are in the DDA TIF district. They are in the DDA's boundary, but they are not in the TIF district. And then I think some of it had to do with what do we do with 7th Street, some of the other streets in terms of identifying them. Are we going to include them in the district as well around OCC and have additional signage and other expenses? So there was some thought as to why the southern boundary ended at 6th Street. The DDA did want to recommend going further down. I would suggest you go all the way to Lincoln or recommend all the way to Lincoln rather than something mid-block so that it's easier to police enforce sign where the boundaries are. But I did want to explain where the boundaries a little bit came from an input on staff standpoint and a city standpoint. The police department did not want any of the parking decks or parking lots included. Wanted them specifically excluded. So that's why the map was drawn as public rights of way versus an exterior boundary. So there will be signs that will have to be put up about where the district exists and where it ends and things like that. So there was some limitation on looking at it from that standpoint. If you've had it, hopefully you've had a chance to look through the plan. The committee did discuss the days of the week, hours of the day. We did list potential participants. We've modified that list on a revised draft, and we're going to basically pull down the information that the state has on its website for licensed facilities in Royal Oak. So that list will, not in Royal Oak, but in the downtown social district. As I said, the committee is recommending the DDA deal with the cups. And then I think there's some discussion that should occur in regards to logo and signage. So I'll stop there and see if the committee members have anything they want to add or questions.
Yeah, let me just to bring everybody up to speed. We had a pretty neat committee that we put together for this. We had, everybody from the business marketing committee, myself, Mike, Sophia, Tony, Jay Dunstan, Amanda. We also had Chief O'Donohue was in there, was in on the committee, Shelley Mazer from the farmers market, Aaron from DPS. Of course, Sean and Tim were in the meeting. We had Matt Abraham from Rail and Anchor. And we had Nicole from the Hyatt was there. I'm trying to think. Rich Lockwood from Motor City Gas. What we tried to do is we tried to get all different sectors and all geographic sectors as well, from all areas, not just in terms of economic sectors, but also just geographic. And Carrie O'Neill, representing the Royal Oak Restaurant Association. So it was, again, it was really interesting. And it was what almost surprised me a little bit was that Chief O'Donohue was really in favor of just making it 7 days, 11 to 10, so that it was just easier, so everybody knew what the rules are. We, the committee, were obviously concerned with the signage. We liked the idea of a bigger area because we felt that that would cut down on the possibility of a sort of a party central type thing where something could get, a little bit Bourbon Street-esque, if you will. One of the things that we talked to Aaron about was that we wanted to make sure, because the area is so spread out, and I'll use Director Keith's area. He backs right up to residential, and we just want to make sure that when DPS comes through and cleans up, that we don't have any cup issues with neighborhoods or stuff like that. Tim, the one thing, I think you pretty much covered everything. 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. We'll provide the cups that'll have the logo on it. The individual establishments will have to provide a sticker they put on it, and there'll have to be an area sort of to put the date on it. The cups are one use only. So in other words, if you're leaving Fifth Avenue, someone will give you a cup to go, and you can't bring it into another establishment. So, that's pretty much the way it'll work. We are really excited about the possibilities of tailoring events into the social district, particularly on weekend afternoons, where we can sort of spread it out and get people into town that we normally wouldn't. And that's why in the budget we asked for the 200,000, which is mainly for we're gonna have to cover the signage, some events, the cups, the cleanup, etc. And then we put another item in for $300,000, which is really a combination of downtown dollars and events. And we want to continue the downtown dollars. Sean, I try to follow as much as I can, but we're going to have stuff that's going to come back to us again in June, match dollars that were unused, but we wanted to keep the budget going. The old "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" routine. And I think we can do some really cool things, particularly for retail, with regard to downtown dollars and tailoring it into the social district, and using the social district for more economic stimulus along with the dollars, if that makes sense. Tim, the one thing I have in my notes, and I can't remember, did we decide to just do everything on a 3-month trial basis, or did we say if there's something that we don't like about it and we need to tinker and tweak it, it's not a big deal?
You did talk about a limited time period that could get extended. I believe what we were going to do with it was have the police department check with the MLCC,
Okay,
see how that was going to work. Procedurally, once this plan gets done, the city commission passes a resolution. We're going to have to submit it to the state as an application. Once they give us that approval, I believe each of the individual operations is going to have to submit their own application and get an approval.
Yep.
They're going to have to enter into an agreement with the city on how they're going to operate and how they're going to agree. So there's still a lot of details to flush out. Staff has put together a draft agreement that would be used between the operators, the bars and restaurants in the city. That's being reviewed. So
okay.
anyways, there are still some things that got to get done.
Okay, and then with regard to the two public comments, if you will, that we got today, it's something we kind of talked about after the meeting, and I guess I'll just throw this out. I mean, for discussion, but I guess my thought would be that it seems to stink a little bit to leave two of our local restaurants out of it just because they're just south of the district, and maybe we extend the borders from, Maine to Washington into Lincoln. And that way, Bigalora and Tap House, even though they don't contribute to the TIFA, but, I think they're part of our neighborhood and they're part of our team, that we allow them into it. I do know if there is an issue with the church on Washington, Jay Dunstan had mentioned that he could talk to them, as well as it seems that the owners and management at Tap House seem to have a decent working relationship if we needed to clear some space there. I'm not sure about the school right over here, about is it St. Paul's? Yeah, the church right, or the school right over here, whether we need to talk to them or not. I mean,
And
Okay,
I would point out, based on this map, the Peking House is not there either. It ends at the railroad track on Washington, so
But they haven't opened, have they?
no.
they haven't opened, but
but keep in mind, Director Rosberg, this for what it's worth, I think the order from the governor, I think this goes through is either 24 or 25.
Oh, right. No, I guess I was gonna ask that question later, so.
the
Okay.
other reason is, the other thing that you'd want to look at other than the church on Main is the crossing for the senior high rise to some of the parking they do at the parking lot at 7th and 6th. So anyways, there were some reasons why it ended at 6th Street, but
Okay. I have some others that want to chime in here. Director Keith, I think you were first.
Yeah, I mean, in the document, it talks a little bit about the waste, the sanitation and maintenance, right? And it talks about that and that it's going to be picked up by the existing maintenance contractor. I think there'd be a good opportunity for us to look at sustainability a little bit with that, and even branding, and maybe some of our own trash cans of some sort with the social district brand on that, and being recycling. So it's just those cups, to where that we can kind of look at like a sustainable effort in that. And it might seem small, but I think that's, if it's an option, I think that's a positive thing to do within the waste. Because I don't know that we have enough trash cans within the current footprint to be able to manage that with the one-time use. I just think that that's something to think about.
Agreed. Thank you.
Especially on weekends, that's a really good.
Yeah.
Where I mean, the only, and it's not like it's going to be like Arts Beats and Eats, but one of the things about Arts Beats and Eats is that they'll have guys coming around and emptying the trash cans, and that's a really good point. That if we do an event or something like that on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, we're going to be filling up the trash cans multiple times. It'd be great to have. And for some reason, I just think when you have recycling, people are more respectful.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can tout it a little bit.
Good comments. Director Yazbek. You're muted.
Oh, geez.
Sorry. I completely agree with Director Riley as far as including these other establishments, but my question, Tim, is aren't they supposed to have a contiguous business? Those two are standalone, aren't they?
No, if the DDA wants to recommend extending the common area from 6th Street down Washington to Lincoln and down Main from 6th to Lincoln, we'll just add those areas to the map. The only place people would be able to use these cups would be in the right of way, the sidewalks. And then there are some special common area designations that we've put in here, and that's the 5th Street Plaza between Lafayette and Washington. We included what will be the new park, and we've included an area around the farmer's market so that the parking lot there can be used as a gathering space or gathering area, I think the term is, as well as Eagle Plaza. So it's limited to the right of way. That's why I said earlier the common areas are the area in red. But if you want to extend them down, it's fine. I guess what we would do is have signs that say the district ends along 7th and Center, so that it's clear to people. You won't be able to walk or bring your alcohol in those areas unless you want to also include those.
Okay. Director Rosbeck.
Quick question. So, so to that point of, businesses that aren't open now, but open in the future, are there ways for them to get joined into the social district? Have we thought about that?
It's my understanding that once the social district's open, each business can apply to the state, and they'll have to have an agreement with the city. So my anticipation is once we create the district, we may have an influx of the first several that want to be involved, but as somebody decides they want to participate or they want to get out of it, I think they can come in and get out. So.
Yeah, and in fact, I looked at that, because it could last, basically up to three or 4 years or be extended even further. So I did look into like if a new establishment comes along, can they get into it? And yes, they can.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot. I will say this, if this helps, Director Roswick. A lot of this in the social districting planning here is driven by the rules and regulations for the Michigan Liquor Control Commission. So those guidelines have to be followed one way or another. So that's where a lot of this planning and districting comes from, the rules and regulations from them. So I don't know if that helps at all.
So I'm going to throw it out there too. So because I was a young kid who didn't have a lot of money. Do we have any fear of people just keeping these glasses and walking back into with their own open bottles?
You mean chunk partying?
Yeah.
That was partly the reason for putting a date on them.
And for having the garages off limits for whatever that's worth. The bottom line is, somebody going to do it? Yes, 100% guaranteed. There's going to be a 21-year-old Matt Riley out there who's going to be pouring his natty light into his cup. Yes.
Yeah, and the other thing, Director Roswick, the other thing that we discussed, and we haven't finalized this yet, but we did discuss as we were ordering more and more cups, if we had to make a second order or a third order to replenish what was out there, we would change the colors of the cups and still use the same logo and the same format, but maybe just change the colors of the cup, which would help the police department in recognizing which ones were new and which ones were old.
So I guess from that perspective, so in looking at the logos, Royal Oak really stands out in the logo, but I almost think that social district should stand out more in the logo and or offer a spot for a specific designation where the date should be, because that's something that if you don't put a place mark for it, each establishment's going to write it wherever they want. And to the point of the young 21-year-old Matt Riley's, you could just lick it off and move it somewhere else. So I don't,
Understand that each establishment's gonna have to have their own logo on the other side of the cup. That's
okay,
the requirements. And on that side is where the discussion was to put the date. So it'll be up to the establishments to be writing the dates on these. And so the thought was to put it with their logo. They're the ones that are gonna be held accountable for putting the dates on there. So.
yeah, no,
I'm sorry. At the same time, it's funny, Dr. Rosberg, one time we even threw around the discussion of maybe having 4 different colored cups and just changing them up every weekend, but it was just going to be,
that's too much.
too much. But I do like the idea of like Tim said, that we leave them their spot for the logo on the other side. But I would like a white block, if it's a clear cup, where they all know that's where you put the date in, with a Sharpie or whatever. And the other thing is, keep in mind that, again, it's like everything else that we did during COVID. We know we might not nail it 100% out of the box, and we're willing to be check down the go and maybe tweak this thing a month or two in.
No doubt. But I do think that the excitement is that we have a social district, not that it's downtown Royal Oak. I guess that's where I was going with your logo designs. I do think that social district could be brought forward a little more in the design versus downtown or Royal Oak. I think that's a given where they're getting their cups or where they're coming from. So, and to that point, if you did what Director Keith wanted and create a dedicated recycling or trash bin for these cups, that becomes an easier focal point to look for on the streets in this area. So just some overall thoughts on that. But I mean, I was supportive of this idea when it first came down the pipe. So it looks great that you came to fruition. I agree with adding the 2 establishments that are not necessarily in the footprint right now. And I would say I would love to see this say on an as needed basis. If we have a new establishment come in, we take a look at that footprint.
I agree 100%. And I think it's we had a lot of discussion about the size of the footprint, and I like the size of the footprint. I like that it goes up to the hotel, because I would like to see, the way I look at it, the more our downtown gets expanded. Rich Lockwood was very happy that we included 4th Street, and I think there's a lot of cool things that we can do on 4th Street, and especially with where the park is, and which is going to allow us to expand events and the fun, if you will, to the east.
But the other part of that is, though, when you talk about expanding it past the Hyatt there, I mean, right 2 blocks next is you've got a new restaurant coming in with the liquor license, I believe, if I'm understanding correctly. And then you have the In Place bar, which I think is turning hands or changing hands, but those are 2 establishments that now get kind of closed out from this that we might want to think about as well.
Well, if right now the DDA is paying for it and your boundary ends at Pingree.
Right.
Yeah, but you're about to expand it to others that are not in our boundary too.
Well,
So I guess.
No.
They are in the boundary.
They are in the boundary.
Yeah,
Okay,
we just don't capture the taxes.
I got you.
We get to pay for the sidewalks there.
Okay, so to move forward here, what I'm hearing is support to make a recommendation to the city commission. And that recommendation also include the expansion of the district. As Mr. Twing has stated. Tim, we don't need any action on the logo today, do we?
I would prefer one because timing wise, unless you're gonna schedule another meeting,
Okay,
I can't wait for another DDA meeting and
okay. Was there any other action needed
I-
other than what I stated?
I would recommend that you make that social district bigger, more prominent than downtown Royal Oak. I mean, that's just my recommendation.
Okay,
It looks too close to what we have around town right now, that, not that we have a lot of things floating around with the Royal Oak button, but I just think having social district more prominently, that's the fun part about this.
okay. Maybe, I'm just looking at the different ones we have here.
Yeah, I would say my favorite's the third to the last one, personally.
Third to the last one.
I think if this is a label though, I like that as like signage or something like that, but if it was a label,
Yep, I
I
would
kind
agree.
of like a square white block around it, just to what Director Riley was saying. Give them an area where the date, and put in small print, date, so that they know where they should be writing the
Well,
date into
I
it.
think that date is gonna go on the opposite side of where this logo is gonna go.
Yeah.
Regardless, however you lay this out with the printer, you want to lay it out. So that's all I'm saying is when you're talking about printing,
Okay.
you're really developing a wrap, regardless if you have a label on the other side or not.
Gotcha.
I think the thought would be that one side of the cup would be the Royal Oak Social District label. On the other side, there'd be like a white block where they'd put the date in and then have an area for their sticker.
Right, and think about this, not as one dimensional. This could truly be a wrap, a full, like a coffee cup wrap.
Yep.
So that white could just continue to the back where the establishment sticker could go and where the date could go. So just
Also,
think,
yeah, keep one thing in mind, that this isn't just for the cups. This will be on the signs. There's a bevy of signs that are going to be out there. So, I'm in favor of whatever you guys want on this. I think the most important thing is just letting people know that we've got a social district. I like the idea of keeping it simple and just calling it Downtown Royal Oak Social District. If we want to make the words bigger on social or district, I mean, I'd be in favor instead of, maybe if you want, maybe Director Rosbeck and Sean, we give them authority to work with Siren and finalize the logo. Everybody cool with that?
I'm good with that.
Sean, you cool with that?
I'm fine with that. Siren indicated to me that they would have to externally hire a designer to put it together. So
I don't have time for that. I'm sorry, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And they just, maybe we just get some input from them, Sean.
I mean, at this point, I don't want to overthink this.
but you need a design file for this when we turn it over to a printer.
And understand the cup, we're gonna put the DDA logo on one side and have that printed. That's it. We're gonna buy cups and send them to
Right.
individual, and they're gonna be required to put their own logo on it. We're not putting
Correct.
a logo on it for them. So,
No, right.
Okay.
No, I totally understood. I'm not even going down that pathway.
Okay,
is there a preferred, and again, part of the thought process, and we did just use to get something moving, what was the Centennial logo that the city put out, and just replace the dates with social district. So we can work on making that larger, more prominent. In terms of the preferred logo design, I heard the first and last one. Does anybody care? Was I correct? The first and last one?
No, it was the third from the last, is someone.
Third from the last?
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I
page 12.
I recommended the third to last.
Like that one?
No, that's not it. It's page
The one with the
12.
orange, the one with the orange on the outside.
Ah, that one.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so what if we take that one and make social district, make the font a little bigger on the word social district?
Yep, no, that's fine.
I'm good with that.
Okay,
So the one with the social districts tend to pass the orange circle.
correct, and just make the word social district a little bigger. I think that's perfect.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay,
And then we'll also put in there the extended boundaries and see what the city thinks.
yeah, I agree with that, Matt. I would like to, and I don't know if we need to put it in a resolution because I think the city commission is gonna mull this thing over also, but I mean, my only hesitation about extending the district, and I'm in total favor of extending it, would be if there was any objection from the ROPD.
Yep.
So that would be my only hesitation whatsoever.
I think we should put it in the resolution and then see what they say.
Okay, okay. Director Yazbek.
Yeah, I'm fine with all of that. I wanted to mention the other item that the Restaurant Association, Carrie O'Neill, mentioned in her memo about extending the patios, street cafes.
Can we deal with that as a separate item?
Separately? That's, I just, yeah.
I was gonna
hope
finish
you're
this and
gonna-
make that a separate resolution, okay?
Okay, yep.
Okay. So we need somebody to attempt to make a motion here.
Director Yazbek, you go for it.
And I
I'll
think.
do it. I'll do it. I'll do
Okay.
it. You can either go along with it. So you're going to recommend to the city commission that you approve the draft social district plan with an extension of the boundaries down Washington and Maine to Lincoln, and that the logo, third from last, page 12, with the social districts portion enlarged.
Perfect.
Okay. So I need a Director Yazbek.
I move for
Resolution as stated.
Executive Director Twing's statement as my motion.
Okay. I have a motion by Director Yazbek,
I second that.
second by Director Keith. Okay. Any questions regarding this? Lori, do we have you, Lori, before I go to the roll call?
I'm here.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that I did not include you. Thank you. Okay. So any other discussion? If not, I'll call for the roll call there. Okay. Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes,
Director Riley,
Yes.
and I will vote yes also. And that motion passes.
And real quick, Chair Sophia, can we talk about, and Director Yazbek, maybe you want to carry this because I think it's a no-brainer that we, and I'm glad that the Restaurant Association thought of this because I forgot that the temporary COVID permits are expiring April 30th. And why don't you carry it for me? Because I don't know if we should ask the city to extend it through the end of October, or if we should leave it open-ended. So I'll let you weigh in.
Well, I'll weigh in, and we're already writing a letter to the city commission, but if the DDA wants to take a position on it, that would be fine, but there's already been discussions internally about putting something in front of the city commission. The question really is how long it gets extended and under what terms, I guess. But no, if the DDA wants to make a recommendation, that's totally fine. I just want to let you know it's already being discussed. I thought we'd have something on the meeting this week, but it got bumped until probably the April 12th meeting.
Director Yazbek, do you agree with the Restaurant Association? I mean, they're asking for basically the end of this year's patio season, again, with the quote unquote free again. And the way I look at it, to me, it's a no-brainer, seeing as how, I mean, right now we're at 50% capacity, and I don't see anything changing real soon with the numbers the way they are, and particularly since if you read today, the numbers are spiking amongst the young people who aren't vaccinated. So that's not going to play well for extending capacities anytime soon. And even if it does, if we're at 100% by June or July, well, bully for us. That's wonderful. But I think whatever we can do to help out right now is imperative.
Yes, I second Director Riley's motion to recommend to the city commission that we extend the patios, street cafes, consistent with the Restaurant Association's request.
Okay. Through the end of October then. Yep. And at the same rate of $0.
Okay, that is a form of a motion, Director Riley?
Yeah, we're just putting forward a resolution, correct, Tim?
Yeah, right.
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct. And I would point out the city commission's already waived the standard sidewalk cafe applications.
Okay.
Okay.
So the other ones are already waived. One of the things that the city will be looking for though is probably a new signed agreement, insurance covering the ones in the right of way.
Sure. Makes sense.
Okay, so we're passing a resolution as to a recommendation to the city commission. I have a motion by Director Riley, second by Director Yazbek. Any questions or discussions regarding that? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Yazbek,
Yes,
Director London,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes,
and I will vote yes, and that motion passes. Okay, moving along. Item number 9, alley improvements.
This was in front of the infrastructure committee. It's in regards to 2 segments of the alley that runs north-south, just east of Main Street, from 3rd. The segments are from 3rd to 4th and from 4th to 5th. The infrastructure committee is recommending that the segment from 3rd and 4th be funded. The estimate put together by the city engineer based on the design and the improvements for new paving in that area is $130,250. The segment from 4th to 5th, the committee recommended sending that forward without a specific recommendation. I believe the committee members wanted to go out and look at it and see what shape it was in before they provided you with a recommendation for or against. To include that, the estimate from the engineer was $73,751 based on the design to, again, pave that segment of the alley. So that's the recommendation from the infrastructure committee, was specifically for 3rd and 4th. I don't know if the committee members have any comments on 4th to 5th, but I'll stop there.
Okay, so just briefly, and I'll let Director Keith chime in here, and we'll welcome Director Brake, who is with us now. The alley between 3rd and 4th is something we've discussed for a period of time. It is in very, very bad shape. We believe that this one needs to be repaved. We're not talking about putting in decorative pavers like we did between 11 Mile and the 11 Mile segment and the 2nd and 3rd segment. We're just talking about replacing the concrete that's there right now to make it more functionable, get rid of all the potholes and all the issues that we have with it during the summer and the winter months. I did not get a chance to check on, to take a walk through the second portion of this. I guess my recommendation would be to maybe hold the second portion of this over and let the infrastructure committee take a second look at it. So that was our discussion. We kind of unanimously agreed that that work needed to be done. And I'll let Director Keith chime in if necessary here, if he wants to.
No, I think you covered it all. It was solid and good effort to move forward. So I don't have anything else to add.
So that's where we're at. Questions, Director Riley?
Yeah, just, I totally agree with fixing up, the alley between Third and Fourth. I mean, we've long talked about that being an eyesore. I just wondered if there was any talk about, I know one of the big issues there is the issue of the dumpsters outside. And at one point I spoke with, the owner of Smokies, and he had an idea that I thought was pretty interesting. He thought about, I know, Mike, behind like where Mesa is now, isn't there sort of a community trash compactor that all the restaurants pitch in on? Is that right?
That is correct. And to address your question here, I can confirm that Mr. Twing's department in building code enforcement has done an awesome job of contacting all the business owners in that block. They are now cooperating with the dumpster issues that we had with them before. The alleyway is clear. So it's already a major improvement of what's been happening due to the fact that they've been met with and discussed with and told that we wanted to do this alley improvement, but we weren't going to do it if they were going to keep throwing grease and dumpsters out there and everything else. So I believe the business owners have cooperated very well. It is cleaned up quite a bit. And I think Mr. Twing could probably address that too if you wanted him to.
And the only thing I was going to say was that if it was an issue, that there was, what the suggestion was made to put maybe take up a couple of the parking spots in the lot behind the ROK there and put our compactor there and cover it with trees. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If we're good. The only other thing I would say is, I think we all agree that I think a lot of us are kind of pretty excited about doing the quote unquote alley project. But in looking at our budget now, unfortunately, when you look at, the park allocation for this year, moved into this year, it's, $2.1 million there. It doesn't look like we've got a lot to do. And maybe the thing is to get the park done now, but I would think that starting, by the end of this year, we should be at the end of this year's budget, if you will, we should be talking about really how we really make from, particularly second or 11 mile down to at least fourth or fifth, that we try to really come up with, some, lighting that. And I guess in saying that, one, what I don't want to do is I don't want to do a quick fix on that now. And then a year from now go, oh my gosh, why didn't we do it a little nicer? In other words, I'm not saying we do pavers all the way down, but if the plan is that, I mean, we did have a design plan for the entire alley, right? We have that somewhere. I know we have that. And I think we ought to at least follow what's in. I can't remember what's in there, whether we talked about doing pavers all the way down, but I guess we should look at that and make sure that, I don't want to just jump out there and do something.
Yeah. So I'm going to let Mr. Twing address this, because I think the plan that you're talking about was at one point where we talked about an entire plan for the whole parking lot area and redoing the lighting and landscaping around the whole parking area, included in the alley also.
Which parking area? I thought it was the alley from like 11 to 5th or 11 to 6th. I can't remember.
Right.
You did the plan from 3rd Street South based on the fact that from 11 to 3rd was already going to get done. And you had, I believe it was Place and Vanderbrick did a conceptual layout for you and with a variety of potential elements and things like that. They did include a portion of the parking lot behind the ROK, as well as the one behind the not Salvation Army, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So they looked at both of them. You have also had in addition to the alley surveyed, you've had the parking lot behind the ROK surveyed. So the design of the alley from 3rd to 4th takes in mind the idea of what's there. So you could add elements to what is right now just going to be a paving, treatment, fixing the drainage, fixing the shape of the drive. I believe when Sean went to the businesses to see if they were interested in doing things in particular, there wasn't a lot of interest. So we moved forward with just trying to fix the concrete and the paving material, keeping in mind that potentially down the road you might want to do something else.
Okay.
So I don't think it precludes you from doing anything further, other than putting in stamped colored concrete. We'll be putting in the normal wear and tear. A little bit of difference in this alley. It's much narrower.
Yep.
There aren't the exits out the back that people tend to be using for business uses. So anyways, I guess my point was I don't see paving these as precluding you from doing anything in the future other than you won't be able to do the stamped concrete because you don't want to tear it up. But
Okay. All right, then it makes total sense because this way we get it done and we get it done a lot quicker, and then if we want to add, if next summer or whatever, that we're adding lights or putting lights over the top, we can still do that.
right.
Okay.
So to wrap this item up, it is the Infrastructure Committee's recommendation to move forward with the section between Third and Fourth. We did not come up with a recommendation for Fourth to Fifth as of yet. So my recommendation would be we refer that back for a second look. But if the board wants to do differently, that's obviously up to them.
There is a suggested resolution in the cover memo, so you can use that as a format for what you want to do.
I'll move to approve what's in the packet, just the way Chair Sophia has it from the Infrastructure Committee.
Okay, motion by Director Riley,
I'll second it.
second by Director London. Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call for the roll call vote. Director Riley,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes,
Director Brake,
Yes.
and I will vote yes, and that motion passes. Okay, item number 10, Traffic Island, Woodward and Washington.
Again, this was another item that was in front of the Infrastructure Committee. I hope everyone's familiar with this area of Washington and the service drive for Woodward. It's right adjacent to the Griffin project or the Singh project that DDA sold the property to. The island itself has been installed as part of a upgrade to this intersection. They got rid of the speed lane to get off of the service drive and made the corner much tighter to slow traffic down. The question that the committee considered and is recommending for approval was a plan to actually landscape this island and maintain this island similar to what's on Main Street. The design from Worry Free and their cost estimate for initially is $17,390. And the committee is recommending that to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Twink. So I'll be very brief. We did not like the idea of this just being concrete or gravel or whatever it wouldn't be if we did not landscape this. We like what we did down at 696 in Maine. We think that was a good project and we wanted to carry it over onto Washington. So that was our thought process. Along with that is the contract to maintain it. So that's our recommendation. Director London.
Yeah, I just agree. I agree with you that you want to enter WROK and say, wow, this is really pretty. It's just a nice entrance and the Main Street thing is a home run. So I'm all for this.
Main Street thing, I'll call the Main Street thing a grand slam. It's awesome.
Okay. Director Yazbek.
I also agree. That looks like a wonderful plan. And I will confirm that design is very effective in slowing you down when you're trying to turn off Woodward there.
Okay.
If
Excellent.
not, police that sit out there all the time will get you.
Was that a positive or a negative?
Right? Does that mean we should add rocks? Does
Depends
that
how
mean we
late
should
you are.
add some big boulders at the corner so that when they hit a boulder before they hit our landscaping?
There is a suggested resolution there. as
There
well.
is a resolution suggested.
I will make a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by Director Yazbek,
I'll second it.
second by Director London. Any further discussion? Roll call. Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes,
Director Brake,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
and I will vote yes also, and that motion passes. Okay, I think this is the last infrastructure one. Item number 11, refurbish planter, hanger, and brackets.
Yep, very briefly here, the committee did look at a proposal. You may recall that when the DDA redid all of the lights downtown, some of the poles, the decorative ones that are on the sidewalk, all of the hanging baskets had to be taken down as part of that to do that work. What we identified were about 148 of those out of the 292 that are not in real good shape. And Worry Free has submitted a proposal to refurbish those prior to putting them back up. Basically powder coating them and painting them and putting it back up. And you'll see the price there is $8,140. And the committee is recommending that to the DDA board. And that would be done this year before they go back up.
Okay, Director Riley.
I'll move to approve the resolution.
Motion by Director Riley,
I second that.
second.
second by Director Keith. Discussion regarding this item? Okay, I believe we all agree the hanging baskets are a nice feature, and obviously we have to have a way to hang them. So, okay. I will call for the vote here, and Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes,
Director London,
Yes.
Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director Brake,
Yes.
and I will vote yes also, and that motion passes. Okay, item number 12, website refresh.
I can take that, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
So just to introduce this item, the city of Royal Oak has completed a website redesign through Civic Plus, who's the website service provider. If you go to romy.gov, you'll notice that there's a new design for the website. There's a couple new features as well. It also has kind of an ADA quality to it so that all the text on the site can be read to you. So there's a lot of new features on it as well. If you go to the downtown section has kind of been, it's been upgraded in kind of the default minimal way that it can be upgraded. There's an opportunity for the DDA to actually get what's called a department header, which is kind of an upgraded portion of the website. Two other departments in the city currently have this. That's DPS and the farmers market. Some of the advantages of having a department header are you get kind of your own unique branding for your section of the website. You can have your own custom navigation menu. So if you go to the farmers market, there's going to be buttons and a menu bar that are specific to issues relating to the farmers market. If you go to the downtown webpage right now, you'll see a lot of the menu links that will just kind of take you through to a lot of the municipal services that are currently available on the city website. And I think that the users that are looking for information on the downtown portion of the site are going to be different than the users that are going to the city side. They're not really, if they go to the downtown section of the website, they're not going to be looking for how to pay their water bill or anything like that. They're going to be looking for, restaurant, dining, help with parking, accommodations, what hotels are in the area, things like that. So I think one of the advantages of having this department header is that we would be able to incorporate those features for the different kinds of users that would be interacting with the downtown portion of the site. We'd be able to promote all of the things that downtown has to offer. So to make this this upgrade, there is an initial fee of $3,676 for the initial development of this department header. And then there's a residual annual fee of $717 to keep it maintained and going year after year. And if the DDA is in support of this, there is a resolution to approve those costs and to basically authorize staff to move forward with working with Civic Plus to have that department header developed.
Okay. Questions for Mr. Kammer?
No, I just want to say, this is definitely in the right direction. This will allow us to become more of that destination for people who are not familiar with Royal Oak, to have an ability to, use the navigation to understand what we have to offer in our downtown. So definitely an improvement.
Good. Oh, yeah, I hope it helps navigate, because I think there's a lot of times that people do have trouble locating the DDA specific website. So I think this is headed in the right direction here also. Any other comments, suggestions, anything?
I just have one more thing that I wanted to
Yeah,
include.
go ahead.
I will say that the Consumer Marketing Committee is recommending moving forward on this, and
Good.
they also had some added kind of insights that when we do work with Civic Plus, that we try to get things like Google Analytics installed on that portion of the site, and we can also try to move forward with some kind of SEO features that will help us show up more in search engine searches as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
there-
it'll help any digital investment we make. So through paid search or things like that, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll give us the ability to talk about the social district in a lot better way, the downtown dollars, updating those. Sean, will the 717 cover the maintenance in terms of, like, if a company, like I just was on it and I was looking at coffee shops, obviously, and they had some businesses that were not there anymore or something along those lines. Is that something that is what that 717 would cover, is that we could give them updates and they would address that, correct?
That's how I understand it. I'd like a little more clarification as to that too, because I know that there is a lot of content that is dependent on us to do that updating. So that's what I would also have to clarify.
Okay.
Okay. All right. There's a suggested resolution provided. Director Rosbeck.
I'll make the motion to accept the resolution.
Motion by Director Rosbeck,
I'll second it.
second by Director London. Further discussion? I'll call for the vote. Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director Brake,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
and I will vote yes also. That motion passes. Okay, goals and objectives, Tim,
Yeah,
we get this every once in a while.
yeah, at the last meeting, the DDA asked that these be sent to Siren PR for their input. Their notes are included in the document if you hover over the yellow boxes. I hope everyone's had a chance to look at what they submitted and reply. Several of them, as I read them, are simple comments. So generally what occurs every year as part of the budget process, the DDA reviews these, makes whatever changes the board wants in terms of the wording, or potentially which one has priority. And then you approve them and they're submitted as part of the city's budget document and included in that document. So I don't have any specific recommendations on this. This is generally done by the board and its review. You can adopt them as they exist, or you can modify them, as I said. So
Director Riley.
Yeah, the only thing I was doing here, and then, to see, sound like a broken record. I know we've been asking about this for years, and if you get into, when you get into the objectives and conduct parking, one of them is conduct parking analysis, develop, supply versus demand, all of that. And the only thing I would say, it's interesting. I mean, I think we're doing some really cool things with parking. I know the new meters are coming for the majority of the area. I'm still a little confused by how much the area. One of the things that, and I don't want to get out of line here, but one of the things that concerns me about the new meters is I think they have an ability that if you're like standing waiting there for somebody, a ticket can automatically be issued to you or something like that. And I hope we're just being careful, because I think we've been very parking friendly, and that narrative of Royal Oak has gone away. I think a lot in terms of the negative parking thing. But one thing I would like to make sure is that we're okay. Obviously we made some decisions to limit money and take money out of, from coming into parking by offering free decks and all that. And I just want to make sure that it'd be nice to know that we're cool on the parking fund, and that all of a sudden somebody's not going to come knocking at our door saying, hey, we got a shortage here, and all of a sudden our budget's blown. So I don't know, it's like maybe Director Brake, I don't know. I'm not looking for an answer today, but I sure would like to know that, how the parking fund is funded, and that we're okay. Again, not looking for an answer today, but.
Okay, Director Rosbeck, you're next.
So I think the other thing that, you brought up a good point, Director Riley. I mean, there was this discussion in the city commission about the COVID relief dollars coming into the city, which is a big chunk of change. Is the DDA going to be exposed to some of that? Would love to know that, because that could change some of these goals and objectives as well.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, obviously, I'm not sure exactly what the ruling is going to be and how it can be used. We have some placemaking stuff, I think, that could be that could help the city, and let's face it, we pitched in pretty good on the park, including $2.1 million this year, which is, our top line's 4.8, 2.1 is a nice little chunk of that's going for the park. I think it'd be pretty cool if we could. I believe funds can be used for placemaking stuff, that if we looked at the alley and Fifth Avenue, with that being closed down permanent, and the Baldwin Mall there, that whole area, and maybe doing something pretty cool there. Just, again, thoughts, food for thought, things to consider.
Okay. Any other comments at this time?
I just would like to add one more comment, that under objectives, I think we have an objective that, points to the executive director and the downtown manager developing the annual report. I don't know if we want to put some more, I don't know if we have to put more teeth around that, because we know that Siren is helping with that this year. And I know that what was attached have some notes from Siren onto this document. So just wanted to maybe put that in there, because I don't know if we have that totally. I'm reading, but I'm not seeing that particular wording.
In terms of the annual report,
Yeah,
I think the board's given direction, and I think Siren's on board for doing the annual report. My vision of that is that myself and Sean are going to give them the details of that, and they're basically going to put it together. So I don't know that you need more wording in this document to have that.
no, I just didn't know if it was an annual objective that we always want to publish an annual report out of the DDA. That's, you know, or a goal, you know. So that's all. I just thought it's a good place to put it.
And we are required by the state statute to do the annual report.
Okay.
I mean, we're looking at this year, right, for goals and objectives and things of that nature, right? I mean, it's just this calendar year.
It's July 1st through June 30th.
I mean, we talk about some things. I feel like you guys have done a great job in the past of, you know, Matt, you spoke about the parking situation and adding structures, or, you know, there's different things that are talked about in there. And I think in our last, one of the last meetings, we talked a little bit about like what we can do next, right? And maybe maybe we need to have this at a different type of time to discuss and talk about some of the next efforts. And, you know, because some of the material we've executed that plan, we've gone through, we've brought business downtown and some different things, and trying to move forward of like, what are we going to do? How do we come out of COVID, right? And we've talked a little bit in our last meeting about retail space, right? How are we going to bring some more businesses downtown and other things of that nature? Is that something that we want to earmark to try to cast a vision out there for everybody to see? And, or is that something that we need to think about, or is that for another time? I'm just not sure.
I think
Well, I'm not sure how much detail we can get into in terms of this document, because, well, for a couple of reasons. One is, I agree with Director Keith, I think this needs some additional thought in terms of how we want to move forward. So I don't want to limit us to putting something in this document that's going to put a limitation on that. So I'm not sure exactly how we would proceed on this. My guess would be, and Tim, tell me directly if I'm wrong here, is that potentially we could adopt this document as it is written, but have the ability to make the changes as we move forward.
Yeah, they're your goals and objectives. The only timing on this right now is we generally submit these to the finance department so they can include it in your budget document. Obviously, if you want to review them on a basis and make changes in your own mind, you can certainly do that. It won't change in the budget document, but it can change as part of where you're at, just as you move forward. So these are the ones from last year. If you're comfortable with them continuing forward, because they're generally fairly broad, you could adopt them, and each committee could review them at a future meeting and come back with suggested changes. So
I think that would be a prudent way to move this along, so that we can get our budget submitted, and then have the committees look at it, and if they want to make some changes or additions, we could potentially do that moving forward. I think, you know, the COVID thing has got us all in a mix here, and we're not sure where we are today as opposed to where we might be a year from now. So I think we have to make this as flexible and changeable as possible as we move forward.
I get it. My question to this is one of our goals, because, you know, as I look at the 6 goals and I see that the objectives follow up or roll up to a goal, but to Director Keith's comment earlier, you know, is one of our goals to basically be enticing for other businesses to come, you know, make that type of placemaking. Because none of our goals today, I mean, they talk to it in very broad terms, but none of them are really talking to that, you know, facade, you know, trying to shore up the facades that are closed, you know?
We talked about, in the past, we've talked about business recruitment as,
Right.
as sort of the goal. And in fact, we even, at one point, we dabbled with certain consultants and stuff like that. And we even talked about sort of not really a rent assistance program, but something similar to that, where we were really going after it. I would think that the prudent thing at this point is, I hate to say wait till the smoke clears, but there's so much, let's just hope. Here's the thing that I would say. If we have funds and resources available, I think the main thing that we need to do now is support those who are here and make sure we don't, instead of, and I always want to add, but I think we just got to make sure we don't subtract. And whatever we've got, that we've got to wrap our arms around who we've got, like we've been doing, and keep supporting everybody and keeping what we have. And then by doing the things that we're doing, the social districting and downtown dollars and adding things and events and stuff like that, hope that spurs, more businesses to come.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you that the events and all of that help. And I think that, seeing that the city undertook a customer satisfaction survey recently is helpful to I think that should actually come into this meeting a little bit, because what their findings were pretty interesting. But I do think that, to get economic development, it's a little more than just some of the events and things that we have to do. So I would like to see, us progress to a goal, even if it didn't work in the past, but us progress to a goal of economic development, meaning, get new tenants downtown. But that's my 2
Yeah,
cents.
I agree with you, Director Yazbek. This has been an ongoing
Director
issue.
Rosbeck. Sorry.
I'm sorry. This has been an ongoing issue for my entire time on this board here. It's been something that's been tossed around back and forth, back and forth. We've put effort into it, and it's sometimes has got us somewhere, and other times has got us nowhere. But I believe it is a struggle, and it is a fight that we need to continue. So yes, economic development should be a priority for the DDA in terms of what we do for the downtown. So I agree with you on that matter. So I think that's important that we do try to move forward in terms of that. I think one of our objectives when we hired our downtown manager was to look into retail recruitment. And so that was one positive thing that I think we did do. And I think we need to continue and refocus our efforts, so I agree with you is what I'm trying to say.
One thing that I'll say is that I don't want to move ahead to the next item yet, but if you look at the budget for this year, and if you look at our top line, I went back and I looked 6 years ago at the budget, and basically in 6 years we've doubled our top line, and I think that's pretty incredible. And I think I always say that the DDA really isn't politics. I always give the lecture that it's a business, and it's very, very interesting business, because our customers, which really is our land. And our goal is to, make the land more valuable within reason. And so that's how we draw more revenue. And, we can never get more land. I mean, it stays the same. So it's not like we can go out and get new customers, if you will. We can get new businesses in here and change the landscape, but we're landlocked. So I think we're, again, I think we're doing a pretty good job. And then with everything that we do, infrastructure, I mean, when you think of all the infrastructure stuff that we did last year and all the stuff we just talked about just recently, I think it's not direct recruitment, but it leads to it. I think recruitment is something that we look at. I just don't know if, right now is the time to launch an aggressive campaign, but it is something we should talk about.
Yeah. Okay. So to move this along, again, I'm gonna go back to my original statement. I think the prudent action here, and the board obviously can do what it wants, but I think the prudent action here would be to send these goals and objectives along to the finance department with our annual budget as it is, and then, but, you know, include, as we move forward, include some of the discussions that we've had here at the table. So Tim, I don't know if you need the formal action on this or what.
But
or
I would like a motion, but, and I believe Director Rosbeck's commentary, I believe the goal of 4, we can simply add some verbiage regarding business attraction, targeting, retention. And I think we can address her comments in a broad fashion in that particular goal. And then some of the objectives refer back to it in terms of goal 4, which is identify and improve target business base. So I think if you want to amend, approve them with an amendment to goal number 4 to include attraction and retention, we can do that. And I think that'll cover at least what I've heard at this meeting. And then going forward, as I said, you can address them throughout the year.
Okay,
So
I
I'll make
would
the
like a
motion.
motion.
Then I'll
okay,
make the motion to approve our
Accept-
goals and
yeah,
objectives.
go ahead.
All right, I'll make the motion to approve the goals and objectives with number 4 under goals being to include or to amend to including business attraction and economic development.
Okay, I have a motion by Director Rosbeck,
I'll second that motion.
second by Director Keith. Any further discussion? Okay, then I will call for the vote. Director Rosbeck.
You're muted.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Director Keith,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Yesbeck,
Yes.
Director Brake,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
and I will vote yes also. And that motion passes. And we are on to the budgets.
Yeah, the first one there is the operating fund. This is the one that's generated from the DDA levy in the downtown area. I believe it's about 1.6 some mils. So you'll see 2 columns or 3 columns there. The first one's a description of the line item. The second one is the current 2021 amended budget. And the third one is the proposed budget for fiscal year 21-22. This budget or fund generally covers operational activities. You'll see there's not a lot of change in there. It covers a little bit of salary and staffing and related benefits, some office supplies and operational activities. Unless you have questions, there is a suggested resolution in the cover memo.
Okay. Okay. Questions? Director Rosbeck, did you want?
I was just going to make a motion to accept the operating. budget.
Okay, motion by Director Rosbeck,
Second.
second by Director Yesbeck. Any questions? Okay, call for the vote. Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director Yesbeck,
Yes.
Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Brake,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
and I will vote yes also, and that motion passes. The second one, the development fund.
Yep, the second one is the development fund budget. It is set up in a similar fashion with the 3 columns. I'll walk through it a little more detail since it's got a few more items in it for your discussion. Property tax revenue, 4.8 million roughly is an estimate. I generally try to be a little conservative with it with that, but I would anticipate an increase with the same project coming online, at least further online, and some of the other ones in the downtown district coming online, you'll see an increase. Interest revenues run pretty consistent. Miscellaneous revenue, I haven't put any in because it's pretty sporadic based on what occurs during the year. Use of the fund balance, you'll see we used a lot of the fund balance in the current fiscal year. As you look at those projects, we did several major large projects last year, as well as programs. You'll see that I'm anticipating using a portion of the fund balance, about 2.5 million for the coming fiscal year. A lot of that is carryover that I'm anticipating for projects that are budgeted this year that aren't going to quite get done. Your park allocation for the Centennial Park is part of that. I've also included in that the parking lot that the DDA is building at 217 Knowles, that 310,000, and some of the other items that are carrying over. So the 1.5 million for the park and the other I've carried forward along with some other things. Going down, the first several line items that are related to wages and benefits, that includes a portion of myself, Sean. It also includes DPS personnel and some other city charges when those individuals work in the downtown area, they're charged to this DDA account, so they're spread out over that. The first major line item that doesn't come from there is the miscellaneous contracted services. In the second column, you'll see I've just bolded the 6 million. That's a lot of your projects that you did this year, the replacement of the brick pavers with stamped colored concrete to the tune of about $1 million. The decorative light replacement in the downtown. And again, that was probably 1.1 million. You also did the Center Street commercial space to the tune of about 600. We budgeted about 650. I think you're going to be under that by 10,000 maybe. So those were some of the projects that were included in that. The mast arms on 11 Mile. So some fairly significant projects. So you'll see why that's 6 million. I did not list them under that because I didn't want to get it confused with what's showing in the third column as being proposed. Your contracts with Worry Free to do the maintenance services downtown at 375,000. The holiday light contract with English Gardens that you recently reviewed at 230. The traffic signals, the mast arm portion for Main Street at the intersections, that's 653,000. The alley improvements that you just approved or recommended tonight, I included both just from a budgetary standpoint. Obviously, if you want to move the 74,000 out, that's fine, but it got referred back to committee, so you could leave it in and we wouldn't do anything with it till the contract came back. The Central Park allocation includes the carryover of the 1.5 million plus the allocation that DDA agreed to cover recently in a prior meeting. Landscaping, the traffic island we just discussed this evening was included. Electrical service. The design is a placeholder for potential facade applications. And then the promotions budget, again, in the second column, I just left it dark because it covered different things. Based on a discussion with the Consumer Marketing Committee, you'll see the items that are listed there. Spooktacular, the Jingle event, Small Business Saturday, your Arts, Beats and Eats contract, St. Patrick's Day Parade, Rock and Rides. All of those have some association or contract commitment. The Consumer Marketing Committee is including 50,000 for Commission for the Arts sponsorship and asked them to submit some plan for use of that, but that's a placeholder. And then there was another placeholder for special events and sponsorships to be determined. The committee was looking for 100,000 for that placeholder. The Comcast Effect TV commercials, the DDA approved a year contract. Obviously, you have an out clause in that, but funding that for the entire year is 120,000. Then your public relations with Siren. Social media content, again, as a placeholder at 50,000 until you get your bids back from the RFP. And then another placeholder for potential media buys and social media boost. Excuse me. And then under the business marketing committee, again, the second column has a bold 1.9 million. That's in the current fiscal year and primarily was related to the rebound program, the YIFT community cards, and so on. The business marketing committee is, as I included in the third column, looking at the social district activities of about 200,000. And then the community dollars, YIFT cards, a placeholder without anything specific, 300,000. Going further down, there's training and education, dues, pretty much is our National Main Street and other memberships. Advertising and legal notices, or we've got to publish your annual report. It may be actually more costly than that if we publish the annual report that Siren might put out, but if it's the standard legal notice, that's about enough to cover it. The transfer to the general fund is your annual contribution to the bond for the Civic Center project. That's 737,000 for that debt service on the connectivity in park. Public safety is the contribution to the general fund for the additional police in the downtown at 540. The auto parking at 581,000 is for your debt service on the Second Street deck. The miscellaneous expenditures is an estimate of what the DDA will owe as reimbursement to Trailhead LLC, which is the Hyatt development project. So you'll see revenue and expenditures total out to a little over 7.5 million. Got any questions on any of this? I'd be happy to address them. There is a suggested resolution in the cover memo.
Dr. Riley.
Yeah, Tim, one question. Is the 4.7 top line number for 2021, is that now a firm number or is that still an estimate?
It's still an estimate. The carryover estimate that I have, all of that won't be final until the audit's actually done, probably next September. So you'll see those when we do that annual report, and we'll do an adjustment at that point in time as to actual fund balance available and actual revenues that have come in. But I haven't adjusted that yet because we're still getting those numbers in.
Okay, so, just in general, I'm looking at this, I mean, we knew, like you said, I mean, between the 2 million that we took out for COVID, relief and recovery and all the different projects, we used the fund balance, which is what it's there for. But in going through this year, I mean, I think we just need to keep in mind that if there's, any big emergencies, what have you, we don't have the safety net that we had before. I know everyone hates to use that word. But keeping in mind that there, I think the top line will be a little bit higher. We've got stuff in there for miscellaneous expenditures. And I did notice too, and I know it's coming up in one of the next items in talking about Ridley's Comedy Castle. It looks like there's still some money in grants sitting out there that hasn't gone out. So, that, and keep that in mind with also, in a positive nature, we'll be getting at the end of June, we'll be getting back some more money from unused, unclaimed downtown dollars that we can use for things too.
Okay.
And Matt, just on my commentary, my estimate is the fund balance that'll carry over right now without any other information is probably about 2.8 million.
Okay, good.
So
So we got,
Even though I'm using or suggesting using 2.5,
yeah,
I think it's going to be higher than that by at least $300,000.
all right. So we got a little cushion there if needed.
Yeah, it'll probably be bigger than that, but that's my guess.
Good.
Okay. Any other questions here? Tim, I just have one quick one. The last item, the miscellaneous expenditures with Trailhead, that is year 1 and 2 of commitment.
No, I believe it's probably the third or fourth year.
Yeah.
I have to go back and look, but I want to say it's probably the third year, fourth year.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, there is a suggested resolution here. Director Riley,
Move to approve the resolution.
motion by Director Riley,
I'll second it.
second by Director London. Any other discussion? I will call for the vote. Director Riley,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Yesbeck,
Yes.
Director Brake,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
Director Rossbeck,
Yes.
and I will vote yes, and that motion passes. Okay. Item 15, rebound grant, Mark Ridley's.
Can take,
Um,
Chair?
Sean, is this you?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So before the board is basically to finish up a grant. 25% of it had been paid out originally when we did the rebound grants to Mark Ridley's. They received 25% of their grant per the resolution back in May because they were closed at the time. They briefly reopened for a period of time in the fall. I think it was late October. They had reached out to me and inquired about receiving the balance of their grant. And then within 2 weeks, they were closed again. And so that delayed it even further. So because they were an entertainment venue, they didn't follow the same reopening schedule that a lot of the restaurants followed. So it's been quite different from them. Or for them. So when they opened up in late winter, early spring here, Mr. Ridley reached out to me again to just let me know that he had been open. I verified that his place was open, going to the website and physically seeing it in operation myself. And so the remainder of the balance of his grant is before you for approval for disbursement in the amount of $24,000.
Director Riley,
Yep, I'm just glad that they're opening back up. This is a no-brainer in my book. I mean, we can't get it to them fast enough. Move to approve.
motion by Director Riley,
Second.
second by Director Yesbeck. Any other discussion? Very well. Call for the vote. Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Yesbeck,
Yes.
Director Brake,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
Director Rossbeck,
Yep.
and I will vote yes also. Okay. We are now down to the reports. Tim, is there any information you want to put forward here or highlight? Or is this just supplying for the board?
Just reports for your info.
Okay. I do have one item that I would like to get some feedback from the board on, if I could. I'll make it very quick. We briefly at the infrastructure committee had a discussion regarding Mr. Brake and Mr. Twing have advised us that they are under the belief that the park is going to be open in October of this year in order to celebrate the centennial. Therefore, we felt like we needed to develop a plan for lighting for our Christmas lighting for the park. My understanding through Mr. Twing is that not Worry Free, English Gardens is developing a plan as we speak, and that'll be brought before us also. There was a suggestion about looking at alternative means for lighting the park, Christmas lighting the park, and alternative companies. Really just to go and do some research and to see what was out there and what might be or could be done in the park. Maybe something different, something a little bit more spectacular. But obviously we need some direction from the board on this. And so what I'm suggesting is that if we could have some input from the board to direct Mr. Kammer to get out there and do a little bit of research, maybe talk to some surrounding communities, particularly ones that have downtown parks or parks that they utilize to research some options. And that's all I'm talking about at this point is just research some options, bring the information back for us to take a look at. So in order to do that, we would need some direction from the board. Any thoughts, comments regarding this?
I would just say, I think it's a great idea. And you know, whether the infrastructure committee wants to give some guidelines or some suggestions, but you know, maybe, you know, it seems like almost a perfect time just to, I mean, I hate to say go out and get new companies, but maybe, you know, just there's other ideas out there, and you know, we've worked with English Gardens, and doesn't mean we have to do everything with them.
Correct. And we, you know, again, this is just more of an informational type gathering of what possibilities we may have.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we saw what was out there, I can't remember if it was the Infrastructure or Consumer Marketing Committee. You know, we came up with the orbs, if you will, and you know, we had a home run.
Right. Anybody else want to chime in on this?
I mean, I think it's a good idea. I mean, sorry.
Go ahead, Director Keith. Yeah, go ahead.
And you know, I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities, I think, and to do different things. I mean, there's so many different things that we can do to make it a creative space in the wintertime, you know, and a functional space. So I support, not that we would even leave English Gardens out of it. They might be a part of the combination of it, right? It might be a combination of different things. So
Well,
I
I
support
know
that.
a good time. I know Director Rosbeck was very in favor of the mapping and the stuff and the things like that, the different aspects, whether it's mapping, whether it's projected lighting. There might be some really cool things we can do with that space. With you know, thinking that you've got the Henry Ford,
or even doing downtown for that matter. You know, you have Main Street. You could do a lot with, yeah. But
Right.
I think that you could definitely go talk to, you know, comes to mind is Plymouth, Michigan has a huge square in the middle of there. While it's an older downtown, it look and feel, but they do a Christmas, you know, decorations and things like that, and they have a fountain and things like that they have to place make around. So I think talking to them, or even to Birmingham for their, you know, they have a winter they have a winter
Market.
market that's definitely a crowd pleaser. I know not in the time of COVID, but it brought a lot of people to Birmingham just for that alone. So there might be different opportunities around Christmas time in terms of lighting, but in terms of activities as well. So I think
Yeah.
it's something we need to think about right
Okay.
now.
I know there is some discussion right now with the farmer's market and some of the activities that's going to be happening over there during the holiday season also, so.
And keep in mind a couple things. One, it's our centennial, and it's Centennial Park, and it looks like it's gonna open right around Christmas season, if you will. And let's cross our fingers, if everything goes well, we might be hitting the 70% vaccination numbers by then. And it might be like perfect timing to really do something a little bit special this year.
Okay. So
Introducing-
without objection, unless there is some objection, I would recommend that Sean take the lead on this and do the research. Bring it back to the committee level so that we can bring something to the full board for us to look at.
The only other comment I would add, Mike, is based on our conversation. I think the infrastructure committee, much as the business marketing committee did as part of social districting, we should invite other parties to other interested parties into that infrastructure meeting to make sure that the DDA is not spending a lot of time on something that the city commission. I mean, we can invite some of them, the Henry Ford people.
Agreed.
Good idea.
So I, before we go too far, I think we would want to get all those ideas together. And then the only caution I would throw out again is, as with English Gardens, we can't spend a lot of time on this if we're planning on putting anything up next winter, because has to be purchased. A lot of it's coming from overseas. So it's something we'd have to move on fairly.
I agree, and that was my reason for bringing it to the board's attention today.
Well, those would be my only two comments to add to yours, Mike, because we did talk about it at the committee.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Director Riley?
Just real quick, I know there was a parking update on there, and I just want to reemphasize again with the smart meters. It sounds like they're great. People like them. I just want to make sure we don't bite ourselves in the butt. When you throw out their smart meters, you're going to have people thinking, you got Big Brother this and that, and I just don't want to play into the narrative that, the Royal Oak is the part. I don't want to use the word, but what we've been referred to as before. And we've really improved ourselves with the grace period and by doing the 2 hours in the deck all the time. And what I'd hate to do is that all of a sudden we have this, machine, that ends up, biting us in the butt because it's a little bit aggressive in the way it's done. So I think I don't want to take a step back. I mean, they seem amazing in what they can do. And the ability, people can find spots and all that. Just, I think, we all.
Can I just say, as someone who probably got too many parking tickets downtown Royal Oak, I have to say the smart meters, if I can pay my parking ticket at the meter or avoid it, I think is actually one of the best things possible, because if you are down there for entertainment reasons, you don't want to worry about that meter, and chances of you spending $10 or $25 that night on a parking ticket is probably high.
Yeah, and just keep in mind that, but they do have the ability that if you're there, like sitting in a spot, let's say
Right.
with somebody, and you say, well, I'm not going to put anything in there because if I see the guy coming, I'll just tell him, hey, I'm waiting for somebody. It has the ability, whether we enforce it or not, to ticket you, and that would not go over well.
Right. Okay, so Mr. Brake, the memo or the update came from you. Could you do you have any info on the timeline of this, or?
So that item will be discussed at the next city commission meeting on April 12th.
Okay.
To enter into the agreement. So, You know, I guess I'll make a couple comments back to Director Riley. The public relations end of this effort is of the utmost importance. You know, we're committed to smart cities, and so it has to be a solution, not a problem. Otherwise, why would we go through this endeavor? But just the same, I'm very sensitive to that. And if someone has a bad experience, we need to make it right, because one person having a bad experience will repeat that to a number of people. And where we've all have worked very hard on building up our reputation. So I couldn't agree more. And this is something that we'll have to closely monitor. And I would say that we would ask the provider to give us some good information and periodic updates in that regard. They're a known company, but they're trying to break into the Michigan market. They have limited clients here. So if they have a good experience here, you know, they're trying to do business development in other communities. So I think equally as a partner that they have just as much at stake.
Perfect.
Okay, that concludes our business for today. Does anybody have anything they want to bring to the table? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Director Riley. Second by Director Rosbeck. Discussion, okay, call for the vote. Director Riley,
Yes.
Director Rosbeck,
Yes.
Director Keith,
Yes.
Director London,
Yes.
Director Yazbek,
Yes.
Director Brake.
Yes.
Okay, and I will vote yes also, and we are officially adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Nice seeing everyone.